Okay, so on my screen, I still have the spinning wheel of death, so I don't know if this is better, worse, indifferent. So I rely on your guys' information down here in the chat. But I've done a couple of things, moved to the Wi-Fi, and also adjusted the bandwidth slightly based on what my phone said the available bandwidth was from a quick speed test. So I think it should be 720p, but just a bit lower. So yeah, 720p at 25 frames per second. So see how we get on. Time is 9:12 p.m. GMT +1 here in the UK. On the 13th of June. Hey Brett. Okay, so the camera's zooming in and out, isn't it? Good to go. Right. Okay. That's all I can do actually, which will make it maybe a bit better. At least then I'm not being completely rude and looking at you guys. There we go. So now I can see things a bit better and talk to you as opposed to ignoring you on the main camera now. And then in the future, if I ever have the courage to try live streaming again, obviously this camera is better to have it focus on something that I'm showing you guys or I'm doing. So okay, so for the nth time, we shall see if there's any questions about anything, and as you guys lost the will to ask and listen and everything. But it beats me going on doing some more work in the evening. One thing that I actually am planning to do, maybe later tonight, if I'm not too frustrated with how this went, is I got some new headphones that I'm going to do a review of. So these are Corsair RGB Void Pros, and so far the tests I've done, they're pretty good. They're really comfortable and good sound, environmental isolation stuff. So yeah, I need to finish a review on these, and that will go up in a little while. So I don't know if any of you are interested in gaming headphones or wireless headphones for your computer. That might be something of interest. I think the thing, Jeremiah, is test, and more testing. So I bought a few things to be able to do this streaming. So I've got an Elgato HD60S, which basically is doing all the encoding off of the Mac. That connects into my Sony A6500 with a HDMI reducer cable. I've also got the camera powered externally as well, and then I have this, which I'm not really using too much, which is the Elgato Stream Deck. Probably you can see it a bit easy on there. This is something I can configure. Ah, crap. So I can kind of control different things. So one thing I know, because I didn't have time because of my roof leaking, is on this screen I'm using right now, there is a blob near the about here is the blob, and it's actually a mistake I made in Photoshop. So I had fixed it, but I hadn't had time to get it uploaded because of all the stream issues. But I can use this Stream Deck to move to different versions, so I can get rid of the picture-in-picture, and now you can see the blob has gone because I fixed this screen. Or I can move back to picture in picture and have this one here. I can also kind of run my trailers and start the live streaming and stuff, so I can do that. Like now I can play the intro video, maybe. So yeah, a few things that I can do with that once. It was working when I did the kind of 3 test streams, and now this one's gone to shit. Yeah, let me. I will just switch the camera to manual focus to stop it dicking around. There we go. I've adjusted it so it should just sit in manual mode now. But, I don't know if there's really anything I should point it at that'd be more interesting than the side of my head. I don't think right now is looking like a hot dog or an extended penis. I am a geek, David. What I'm not sure about is I always prefer to think of myself as a geek as opposed to a nerd. Now, I'm not really sure what the real definition difference is. Geek seems acceptable to me, whereas nerd, I don't feel like I'm a nerd. I'm not smart enough to be a nerd. That reminds me of that sausage party movie. It was disturbing. So, any other questions we can discuss, or are you guys bored already of listening to me witter on, and would rather go do something more interesting, less frustrating than my stream stuff? It matters to me, David, because I want it to be good, and it's not gone to plan. So I'm going to. I wish I was had alcohol, but I'm trying to be better and get a bit fitter again. So I'm trying to be good during the week, but I feel like I could do with drowning my sorrows in some Henry Weston cider. Might cry. What I will do is see if I can get this random generatory software working, and I can get that ready for later. YouTube competition bigger. Or is it not working? So one of my kids is, I guess, probably like most people, and he's quite young, not young, but he wants to be a YouTuber when he's older. So I have some thoughts about that. But I think he watches YouTube and gamers on there, and some of them earn millions. I think in his head, he thinks that's what he wants to do, which is maybe that is a career path for younger people nowadays. But I think it's more like I guess I feel like it's in some ways, and this is probably going to sound a bit derogatory, but it's similar to athletes, right, or a chef or something. So there are obviously some very successful chefs and athletes, but it's a minority compared to the people that want to be a footballer or something. So I feel like YouTube is a similar thing. I think it's okay to be interested in it, obviously, because I'm doing it. I was being a bit of a hypocrite, but not actually necessarily sure he should be hanging all his hopes on it. My wife, I think she probably, well, she knows I'm strange. We've been married a long time, so she knows I'm odd, and wonders why I do the videos that I do. I do it because it's something different compared to kind of what I do for work in many ways, even though I enjoy that as well. It's just, in some ways, it kind of just forces me to do something different, which is why I do it. Okay, so is it frozen again, or can you guys still hear what's happening? Let's try and see. Still says it's streaming. Okay, glad it's still working. Cool. So what I'll do whilst we're doing this is I will load up this website that I use. So I've used this website. It's called commentpicker.com. I'll see if I can share my screen. Let's just see if that will work or not. So commentpicker.com is the website I'm going to be using, and I will then put in the URL of the video in a moment, and then get it to do its thing and see what it comes back with. Brett, in terms of the home automation stuff, I actually haven't been doing too much with it kind of lately. I kind of got to a point where most things are working well, and I've kind of then got kind of sidetracked with all the EV and battery and solar stuff. So I have got some more plans with some of the home automation stuff that I've been thinking about. One of them is not so much automation, but kind of back to the smart home type setup. Been thinking again about getting some of the Nest smoke detectors and alarms, and having that all integrated in, if not Nest, someone else's. I am quite interested in Ring's alarm system offering. It's not available in the UK yet. They are working on it, but that has obviously alarm system, but will have door sensors and window sensors and everything, as well as kind of carbon dioxide and smoke detectors, and will kind of fit in with the kind of camera system I have. And I'm a really big fan of the Ring products and how that's working. So I'm kind of holding off to see what happens when that will come out in the UK. But it's just, but yeah. Apart from that, the Hue stuff still just does what it needs to do. It just works. The updates work quite well. I pretty much hardly ever use the app. Everything I just use is integrated with the Echo. I use now the Hue motion sensors as well, because the SmartThings ones were acting up and being a bit crappy. In general, actually, the SmartThings, I still have it set up and I am using it, and I do use it for proximity alerting. So when my wife and I leave the house, and also other family members, if we're away, may come and check on something, they have the SmartThings key fob, but they so I kind of just use it for alerting that the back door's been left open or something. But it seems to be eating through the batteries a little bit recently, so haven't really done too much with SmartThings. I'm not sure. I don't regret getting it, because it does give some more options with the Zigbee kind of setup, but I think they haven't even done much with it since it kind of was released a little while, a few years ago, since Samsung took over from, it was a Kickstarter or Indigo, wasn't it, something to start with. So yeah, a bit sad. So what do you mean, Brett, in terms of the Fly Net ointment? Is it worked with Nest changes? Is that a software, a tool, as opposed to integration with something else? Yeah, Rod, actually, I was in IKEA recently, which is when I bought more stuff than I needed. I think I mentioned it in the previous video. I've kind of put this separator up in the cave to kind of separate where I kind of spend all my day working, and then this other bit. And I got some extra units that I was going to use for something else, but didn't work. So I've got this kind of 2-area cabinet thing, and this 5 Kallax thing that I need to decide what I'm going to do with that. Jeremiah, that's funny. That's what you have to put the what is it on your if you got an iPhone, you can use the Find My thing, can't you, to identify where your friends are. So you could identify when your wife's around, and then you get to go and disappear and hide in the garage or something. Hey, Mystery Gardener. A Home Assistant, yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, like I said, Rod, I think that's the main thing, is that SmartThings gives you that flexibility to use other people's devices and then bring it into automation and voice control, which may not happen natively, which is why I've still got it plugged in. I think, apart from obviously what happened earlier, so if you're on the extra shit stream earlier, I've noticed water in some of the rooms upstairs, so the roof is leaking, which I think is probably related to where the solar's been installed. So I need to speak to the installers tomorrow and see if we can get that fixed, or get them to do something. I don't know how you're going to identify what the problem is there, but that's a problem for future Dale. But the thing that I'm kind of working on right now is testing the My Energy app. So they've got quite a few bugs at the moment. That's the kind of one of the other reviews that I'm working on. And then I think it was who was it? I think it might have been. I'm terrible with names. I think it was. I don't know if it was at you, Stu. Or maybe it was. Stu rings a bell in my head, but someone I think mentioned on one of the previous live stream discussions about looking at some I guess, cheaper products. I don't know if you would consider this to be cheaper. I guess it depends what you're interested in. But I just finished reviewing this, which is a thermal imaging camera. It's kind of an entry level one, but this came from China, and so is cheaper than like the FLIR stuff. So just trying to find things that I'm interested in, and that makes sense. And obviously, if I can collaborate with a company as well to save me having to spend all my own money on stuff. But the main reason I do the channel is because I enjoy it, and hopefully some of you enjoy it when I'm sharing and talking about some of the things I'm doing. I still don't feel like I'm very good at it, but the way I figure it is doing something is better than doing nothing, so I definitely won't get any better if I don't keep on doing it, or at least, yeah, just keep doing it. And it doesn't do anyone harm. I think like someone put earlier is that you guys don't have to watch, and that's fine. So we're not making anyone do anything. This is about £150 plus shipping and potential import tax because of where it's coming from. But it does actually work pretty well. It's not quite as good as the FLIR one I have, but obviously that's almost double the cost of this, plus you need an iPhone with it as well. But that's just in the process of finishing editing that one, and I think based on the other videos that I got scheduled, that will come out in about a month's time, 14th, 15th of July, something like that. Okay, cool. I think Rod, you mentioned Tado. I think that's the one thing that I have a pretty good relationship with the guys at Tado, and they haven't really done too much lately. So there's a big kind of hoo-ha about that app, and then nothing. Just that was the end of it. So yeah. The FLIR does work really well though. Yeah, but this is good. It works well. It just doesn't have the same level of kind of sensitivity. I mean, I'll turn it on. So whilst we wait, so let me just make sure you guys can see it. So you guys can see my head in thing, but it's quite effective up to about 5 feet, and then it kind of degrades a little bit, but it does work really well, and it's got some cool features where you can kind of change kind of the filters and the color palette and stuff, and also just use it as just like a straight through camera initially to help you position stuff, but it works pretty well. And so the video will hopefully help show some of that, and it shows you the temperature of the thing that you're kind of pointing at as well to save you burning your fingers. Actually, yeah, I'm getting better at remembering things that people have mentioned. Okay, whilst we're doing that, I will kick off the drone picker thingamajig in the background. So I can't, with the software I'm using to stream this, it's Elgato's Game Capture HD. I can't seem to get it to look at my screen. It only wants to take a feed from what's on the camera. So what I do is I'll run it and take a picture of it. Right, so I put in the URL of the drone giveaway, so YouTube, cookie, So as mentioned before, this is the URL that I'm inputting into this tool. And then I select filter duplicate users and get YouTube comments. What's it doing? It's not putting it in. Okay, filter. Oh, that's Facebook. I want YouTube. That's why it's not working. Right, put in the YouTube link. Okay, so there's been a total of 31 people that have entered into the competition. Let me just see if I can get a picture of it. So I'm going to press this little button on the left hand side that says start raffle and pick a random winner. So that's what I'm going to run now. So let me just get it on the screen. There's my mouse gone. That's a bit shit as in how it works out. Okay, we have a winner. That's quite funny. So it's someone who is in the stream, in the live stream now. So let me take a picture so you can see who it is. So thank you for participating. So it gets on the screen. So today's winner is, so it's working, Bloody Stew. So well done and congratulations. So I've got everything boxed up, and I will give each of the batteries a charge so that it's charged enough that you can attempt something with it. So thanks for obviously taking the time to leave a comment and suggestion in there. So for people who couldn't see it on the screen, Stuart, based in the UK, some videos of some cheaper gadgets from Chinese import websites, AliExpress, Banggood, etc., which is what we were just talking about. So thank you again. What I'll do, Stu, is do you have Twitter, Bloody Stu? No. Okay, I'm just trying to think how I get your information and know it's you, not someone pretending to be you. Okay, I've got Instagram and I'm terrible and don't know how to use it properly. Let me see how this works. Oh, you can DM on Insta. Fantastic. All the cool kids know what's happening. So, right. So, Bloody Stu, could you let me know what your Instagram name is or what have you, and I will try and find you on here. Yep, I think I found you. Surname begins with a M, I think, yeah? Okay, cool. I think I got you. So I will send you a follow request now, and then I will then DM you on there. Give you an email address that you can send me. Your arms across. You can send me your address, and then I will get it in the post. So, Stu, out of curiosity, have you flown a drone before? Have you got one already? Ah, good. Well, I say good. It's a good one to start on because it's pretty robust. And like I said in the original video, if you don't like it or you fall out of it, it hasn't cost you anything. But that's another thing that I used to have a different channel that I used to have all my quadcopter videos on, and I've started to upload a couple on here, so I've kind of gone from an archive. But I don't know if that kind of thing is interesting to you guys or not. Right, let's see if I can make this work. Okay, gents, is there anything else that you want to discuss or talk about? Yeah, in terms of footage, so I had in the past. Actually, let me just get it over here. Just talk about it briefly. Yay! Thanks, whoever it was who just described. So what you can do, and I did this previously. If you've got a GoPro, get a Velcro strap, and then you can kind of mount your GoPro on there and strap it in. And then obviously when you're flying, white is at the front, red is at the back, and you can. One of the things that's quite helpful for orientation, this little box here will flash when you're flying. Flash green when you've got good battery, orange when the battery's starting to get low, and then red when you really need to kind of pull your finger out and land. But apart from that, everything's pretty easy. If you want to kind of enhance this in the future, if you look online, it's quite a good platform. You can get some landing gear on here. You can fit a gimbal to it. The flight controller does support GPS, so you can get a GPS module. You can probably pick these things up second hand as well. Add them to that. Also, I had put FPV gear on here as well, just for shits and giggles. Once when I took it off of a DJI Phantom before I sold that and put it on here for a little bit, just because I did some 3D flying in this. So 3D flying, if you're not familiar, is acrobatics, so flips and rolls and stuff like that. It's not really designed for that. It's more of a kind of steady cruiser, but if you flick it into manual mode, it will work. So my tip is go to a field. Well, I'll try and send you again, like I said in the competition. My goal here is not to teach you how to fly or do anything, but I will send you a bit of information as to kind of first things to keep in mind when you're first getting started, so you don't straight away hurt yourself, or kind of know at least how to take things off. But in general, all you're going to do, make sure your remote control is on first, then strap the battery into here. I don't know how long the batteries are going to last. I will fully charge them all, but I don't know how well the cells are balanced over the years, but they should get you started. Strap the battery into here, plug it in to this connector here at the top. like I said, you want to do this all whilst it's on the ground, because it's got a little IMU in there which makes sure that it knows kind of it's flat and everything. Then you get basically, when I've through now, you get the controller, move both of the sticks kind of down into the middle, then the props will start spinning. Everything is configured to mode 2, which is the most common way people fly aviation equipment, at least the more modern way. And then you gently move up on the left-hand side, and it will slowly move into the air. And if you crap yourself, drop the throttle and it will drop to the floor. And like I said, it's pretty robust, and there's a spare frame in there and everything, and it's pretty easy to solder things back together. And in general, when I made it, I've used bullet clips in most of the places. So if you do break an arm, it's easy enough to replace and just cut the cable ties and redo it. So hopefully that helps a bit. So I'll just put this back over here before I put it in the right place. Yeah, definitely keep looking at the drone. So when you start to fly, you want to orientate yourself always from behind. So don't get too cocky too soon and decide you want to spin it around or face it towards you, because then obviously all the controls are back to front. So as much as possible, keep yourself orientated behind the drone. So as you're moving left, right, forwards and backwards, it makes sense to the inputs that you give on the controller. But in terms of the range, so Brett, you asked about the range. So the setup on that one, I'm just trying to think the furthest I've been. I think, depending on ideal situation. So I had that same setup in a modified first generation DJI Phantom. I think I got about a mile with it, but I wouldn't go that far, especially not without GPS or anything, because with this one, obviously it's got no GPS, it's got no fail-safe or return to home. So if it goes out of range, then you've got problems. But definitely any field you go and flying or something, you'll have no problems. You're not going to go out of range with that one. Girlfriend's brother has a cracking big drone. We're getting some advice from him. Watched a lot of vids on that. Probably. Yep, cool. That's good that you know someone also to help you with it. I'm glad the stream's working a little bit better now. So what resolution are you guys getting, by the way? 720p, I guess. Oh yeah, 720p. Not too bad then. At least it's working better than it was, because it was proper sucking. Right. So I'm just emailing, DMing Stu here. Yeah, Mars, and again, that's quite the Orange RX stuff is quite basic gear, so it's generally quite foolproof, so not too fancy. The other drone, my favourite drone, If you guys are interested in this, I'm happy to do a video talking about my different drones. The furthest I've gone with that drone, I think it was 6 miles. Is it 6 miles round trip or 6 miles one way? I think it was 6 miles. I have to look at the map. I've still got the data for that somewhere. So on that one, I'm using UHF for the kind of radio transmission. And the only reason I had to stop and turn around was because of battery capacity. I just didn't have enough battery to get back. And actually, when I got back, I did run out of power and somehow managed to safely crash land into a load of stinging nettles about 100 yards from my location. Thankfully, by some miracle, nothing was damaged. But yeah, obviously, I'd be clear. Obviously, there's legalities around. Make sure you have a spotter, and obviously, so I was flying FPV there. But yeah, it's amazing, kind of what you can do with this equipment. It doesn't necessarily cost all that much, not in the big scheme of things. At least I'm glad that the 720p stream is working better. I definitely need to keep that in mind for next time, that live streams will be restricted to 720p. Okay, so just check this out. Okay, so, yeah. Hey Steve, I sent you a DM on Instagram. So you guys interested in drone videos and talking about drone stuff, or you've got plenty of that elsewhere for your consumption? Yeah, I think it's quite common, isn't it? Everyone is more familiar with the drones. Still want to try and find more time to fly mine as well. Cheers, Brett. Have a good evening. Yeah, so that DJI Robot car thing that they released, I think it's $500, so it probably will be £500 in this country. My initial thought was, that's really cool, and I think I want one. But then I'm not sure if there'd be long-term kind of enjoyment. I feel like it's one of those things that you kind of drive it around the garden a little bit, and then you'd be like, okay, that's great. And maybe you probably want someone else you know to have one as well. I think the main kind of selling point is obviously to the I guess, more to kids in terms of the aspect of helping people to learn to program. So I think, if I remember correctly, it was Python is a programming language that you can kind of create different maneuvers and stuff in. And I've already bought my kid a robot for their birthday, which is one of the Meccano ones that it's got some level of intelligence in the brain unit. You have to build it from scratch, and he hasn't really been that interested in that. So I pretty much decided I probably won't get one of those because I think it'd just be a waste of money. It'd be really cool for like a week, and then it would just sit in a box somewhere. I still need to have a go at flying my TBS Caprahania wing again. So last weekend I managed to re-glue it all, and it seems to be stiff enough that I think it's going to be good for me to have my 4th flight attempt. And this time I will definitely make sure I have my FPV goggles with me, so when it accelerates really quickly, when I struggle with the orientation, I can literally just pop the goggles back down and get reorientated pretty quickly. I also just need to make sure that I've got a friend around, because obviously if I've got the goggles on, especially with not being familiar with that craft, I want to make sure I've got someone else around. But I'm going to try and fly it in the first place I tried to well, I can't get my words out now. The first place I tried to do a test flight, because that's a really big fielded area, whereas the place I had the successful short flight and then I ditched it was quite a small field, just like a football pitch length. And it accelerated so quickly that I had to ditch it because I was not feeling confident that I could control it well enough if it went further. So a bit more space to have a bit more room for error and less worrying about, smashing it into the ground. We'll see. It probably won't fly. I probably won't get it fly again now. It probably just will be another Destructo version like the first 2 flights where it got smashed into smithereens. The first time I had to buy new parts, and then second time I've been able to rebuild it, and the third time it was a purposeful crash and rebuilt it, and maybe 4th time extra lucky. Let's see, or 4th time doomed. Yeah, I agree. I think it's £500. There's a lot of tech in it. I really am interested in. I can't remember the proper name of it now. The wheels, the way that the wheels aren't actually turning the wheels. It's the little. My brain's not working, but the way that you can move in all axis, not just forwards, backwards, and then the wheels turning. It's just a very nice ability to just move in any direction. Is pretty damn cool. Right, I think I'll bring the stream to an end now, because I think people are falling out and running out of things to talk about. I am interested in trying to do some live streaming again, because even when I've done some of the test ones, a few of you guys pop in, and it's nice to kind of have a chat and talk about stuff. I don't know if it's just better that I have more of a frame discussion to talk about, as opposed to relying on questions or something specific. So if you're interested in doing more live streams in the future, would definitely appreciate having suggestions of things you'd like to talk about in the future, or go through, I don't know, building of things or whatever. I've got quite a few videos planned over the next couple of months that I've been saying I'm going to do for a little while. One that I kind of mentioned on Twitter, I know not everyone's on Twitter, is I've been planning a weather balloon build and launch. And I bought the parts for that over a year ago now, and I started to do some of it, but I did some 3D printing today of some more components. So hopefully start to get that underway. I need to source a massive tank of helium as well as a balloon. I've got all the rest of the stuff pretty much set up, but I want to look at configuring a pie in the sky device for that as well. I'm also looking at building an all sky viewing camera that I can set up and just leave to do a massive kind of time lapse somewhere to hopefully get some good views of the sky. That looks quite an interesting project I thought would be worth trying out, and some more stuff, setting up the telescopes and some other things, as well as the headphones that I mentioned, some more smart home stuff, more stuff around the Powerwalls, electric vehicles, and bits and bobs. So plenty of things that I want to do, and hopefully will be of interest to some of you, and also try and see if I can find opportunities to bring more content to you for the things that you guys have also mentioned that you're interested in. So thanks again for coming and hanging out, and those that you stayed to the end and putting up with the mega frustration of the original stream. So I think what I've learnt going forward, even though the 1080p stream had worked previously, I'll just stick with the 720p stream to be on the safe side, because that seemed to be a lot more robust. And I'll watch back some of that, because obviously since starting this stream, all I've got is the ring of buffering happening, so I am not actually able to see how well the stream has worked for you guys or not. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you watch the videos and you subscribe, and keep me kind of infused to do this, which I'm enjoying. So thank you very much. Congratulations again, Stu, on winning the drone. I will do some other giveaways in the future as things become available. And yeah, if you send me your address, Stu, I may even try and see if I can get things posted out tomorrow. So thank you very much. Have a great evening. Thanks again. Please continue to leave feedback, comments, suggestions. All I ask for, I don't know who it is. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not. But every video I do, someone instantly puts a thumb down. And I'm fine, and I know that people aren't going to like everything. All I'd ask is for constructive feedback. So if you don't like something, or you think I did a crappy thing, or it wasn't very clear, then please leave constructive feedback so I can make improvements. So I think Jeremiah, you made a comment, I think when I looked at the drone video, about some feedback about more looking at the camera. So obviously what I'm learning is when I'm doing the live streaming, that this camera here really needs to be focused on something else of more interest, and I can focus my time on talking to this camera whilst I'm watching the chat channel. Or maybe I need to have a larger screen that I'll put underneath this camera that I can then see kind of what the chat is. There's things I can do and learn and improve as we go. But again, this kind of gets boring if you guys aren't watching, so I really appreciate it. Have a great evening, and catch you in the next video, catch you in the next live stream. Have a great weekend, and yeah, that's it for now. Thank you guys.